Welcome, and thank you all for joining us today for our Landlord Learning Series. I'm Ayana Pointer, HCV Landlord Liaison, and I'll be your moderator today. The City of Norfolk Department of Neighborhood Services and Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority have teamed up to help promote the Rent Ready Norfolk program and the Housing Choice Voucher Program. These two programs are essential to tackle the main objective, which is to create more affordable housing stock in the City of Norfolk. On your screen, you will see a polling question. This would be polling question number 1. We would like to know, how did you hear about this webinar today? Okay, looks like most of you heard about this webinar through Norfolk's website or NRHA website, which is good. We ask that you tell your friends and family members about these webinars, especially those who are landlords or special landlords, because all the information that we provide is good resources and good information for our landlords to know. There will be a second polling question. Please choose the best choice. And this polling question will be, how familiar are you with the HCV program? Okay, out of this group, we have 21% of you who are not familiar with this program at all. So we would like to take a moment to inform you about the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which we call the HCV program, formerly known as Section 8. This program helps low to moderate income households with rental assistance, including elderly and disabled individuals, to afford decent and sanitary housing within the private market. There is no cost to landlords to participate in the HCV program. NRHA advertise landlords' properties for free. NRHA provides prompt, convenient, and free housing inspection, as well as housing assistance payments that are direct deposited into the landlord's account of their choice. NRHA also have staff members who are here to assist if any issues arise between landlords and tenants. There are many other benefits to being a HCV landlord. Many of our landlords have experienced low turnover rate, reliable income, high quality tenants, being that we do criminal background checks when applicants are accepted into the program and every 3 years thereafter. And we also do biennial property inspections for landlords, unless they're requested, more frequently if an issue arises. But this is a way to make sure that properties are being maintained and kept in good condition by the landlord and the tenant, especially if a tenant stays within a property for a long time. You can find out more about the HCV program by visiting us at nrha.us or contacting me. I will give you my contact information at the end of this session today. You will have on your screen, you will see question number 3. Please choose the best option. And this is, how familiar are you with the Rent Ready Norfolk program? Okay, we have 25% of you that are not familiar with the Rent Ready Norfolk program at all. So you're in luck. We have Ms. Kimberly Pierce, Director of Department of Neighborhood Services, here today to inform you of the Rent Ready Norfolk program. Ms. Pierce, if you want to take a moment to overview the Rent Ready Norfolk program.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I did want to spend a few minutes and provide you an overview of Rent Ready Norfolk. Rent Ready Norfolk is a program that is designed specifically for property managers and landlords to help inform you about the rental environment and give you tips and courses on how you can improve your business because for most of you, for many of you, this is what the program is. It is a business, and we want to make sure that you are successful. So we have courses that we offer through our Renting Smart Academy, and it can cover such things as landlording 101 for those that are just entering into it, as well as tax advice and other courses that will help you better structure your business and provide good service to your renters. We also do quality assessments for your units, so we can come out and we have inspectors that will take a look at your rental properties, and we will inspect them and let you know what things are code violations or need to be repaired. And then once your property has been qualified, we will allow you to designate it as a rent-ready Norfolk property, meaning that it meets the minimum housing standards within the city of Norfolk. We also are going to be launching this year a tenant education series. We do realize that a lot of times tenants don't pay attention to rental information and things until there's a crisis. And so we're trying to find a way that we can get information out to them that will help improve the rental environment for both landlords and property managers, as well as their tenants. We want these situations to be a win-win for everybody. And we realize that in most instances, education is key to that, having people understand what their roles and responsibilities are. So we'll be launching that series a little later this summer. And we will also promote properties. Any rent-ready certified properties or certified landlords and property managers can be promoted on our website. We are revamping it right now, but we would like to have as many properties listed. It is a free form of advertising for you to have any properties that you have vacant, marketed, or listed rather on the city's website. So if you are interested in participating or learning more about Rent Ready Norfolk, I encourage you to go to the City of Norfolk's webpage, which is norfolk.gov, and in the search bar, just type in Rent Ready Norfolk, and our page will come up. Or you can always give us a call. Our number is 757-664-RENT. That's 757-664-7368. If anyone has any questions, you can certainly email us at rentready@norfolk.gov, and we'll be happy to respond and provide you any information we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Okay, we have polling question number 4, which would appear on your screen. How much do you already know about lead-based paint exposure? Okay, we have 7% of you that know nothing at all about lead-based paint exposure. Today, we do have someone here to inform you about lead-based paint exposure. I would first like to give you more information about our Landlord Learning Series, which is designed to empower landlords with information to make more informed decisions. We do host monthly sessions on a range of topics. Today's session is about lead-based paint exposure, as well as housing quality standard inspections. We will hear from Susan Hill, Lead Hazard Reduction Program Manager for Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, and from Mr. Lorenzo Green, Housing Quality Standard Inspector Supervisor. First, I would like to go over some housekeeping items. We ask that you hold your questions until the end of each presentation today. In the meantime, if you have questions that arise, you can put them in the question box and they will be addressed at the end of the presentations. A copy of the presentation is in the handout section on your display screen. And we're going to jump right on into it. So we'll start with Ms. Hill. Ms. Hill, thank you for joining us today. And Ms. Hill will tell us about lead-based paint hazards.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me all right? Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And I'll just, oh, perfect. There are my slides. Thank you all so much. And I'm sorry I don't have a camera available today, but I'm going to run through my slide deck here for you all this morning. Thank you so much for joining and for your interest in this topic. I'm Susan Hill. I'm the manager for the Virginia Lead Hazard Reduction Program, which is a statewide program offered out of the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development. And this morning I'm going to go over some of the basic infrastructure of our program and inform you all of this opportunity that's available to landlords, renters, and homeowners across the state, and how it addresses any lead-based paint hazards that exist in older homes. So we can go to the next slide. So I'll just go over some of the background of the program, and I will touch on, I'm grateful for that poll question, so we all kind of have a sense of our working knowledge of lead-based paint hazards too. So I'll keep touching on why this work is so important as well. Lead-based paint continues to be an issue in older homes, unfortunately. 1978 is the year that lead paint was banned, but so any home before that, and the older the home is, the greater likelihood it will have lead paint. So previously across the state, there was not a grant available to address lead hazards in our housing for income qualified families. So we're really grateful to have this program back as an offering. It's a really critical public health resource. We were awarded our HUD grant a couple of years ago, and we also have additional funding through some COVID relief funding through ARPA funds. So we're really well poised to really start tackling these hazards once again. As I said, I'll touch on eligibility here quickly, but we're serving pre-78 households, single or multifamily. We will test to identify the location and condition of any lead-based paint in a home. Basic eligibility is 80% area median income, which I'll go over in another slide. And really the spirit of this program is to help young children. Lead is mostly hazardous for children under 6. That is the CDC's guideline for when we really want to eliminate exposure of lead for those young children with their bodies being so vulnerable and developing. It makes sense that a toxin like that would have the most be the most problematic in that young age. So children under 6 is really who we are primarily wanting to serve with this program, and particularly those who already have had a lead exposure and they would have an elevated blood lead level, and testing is done at a pediatrician's office, typically at a well child visit, and that's when a doctor would identify a child with an elevated blood lead level. So we certainly want to serve those children who've already been exposed as our priority. Okay, next slide. And I'm still kind of talking about the overarching goals of the program here. But like I said, this program is offered statewide. We want to make as many housing units as possible lead safe for our children. At DHCD, we offer other housing rehab programs. So we want to be leveraging our lead dollars to rehab those homes and remediate those hazards wherever we can. Encourage more children to be tested, have their families test their children for lead in their blood. Virginia is not a universal testing state. Certain children meeting certain criteria will automatically be tested, but not every child gets tested, and we want people to be aware of the importance of that at every well child visit when they're under the age of 6. We've been working to train contractors in this field over the last couple of years, so we have programming in various lead disciplines that we offer through the Community College Workforce Alliance. We're training more lead abatement contractors, more risk assessors. So we're continuing to build capacity for this work to be done. And again, this program was funded right before COVID, so we've had some, as you can imagine, some initial struggles in getting it off the ground, but we are really wanting to create an enduring program for families across the state, being that this is such a critical public health resource for our LMI families. Okay, next slide. Now this slide is particular to renter occupied households. Now again, we serve owner occupied households as well, but for the audience today, I just really wanted to focus on the rental market. And it's actually much more lenient in terms of eligibility for a renter occupied household. We actually don't have to have a child living at home at the time of service. So it can be a single person living in this house, thinking that with a rental property, the home may be more likely to turn over sooner than an owner occupied would. So keep that in mind. You do not have to have a child living at home. That 80% area median income does apply. It's the tenant's income that qualifies the house, not the property owner's. So keep that in mind. As a property owner, your income and assets never come into play with qualifying units. It's all about what the tenant earns. So in Norfolk, a family of 4 would need to make at or below $74,800 to qualify for the program. We do have a requirement that a landlord would market the unit as being lead safe for families and prioritize renting to families with children for 3 years after the work is done. Now, I'll explain that a bit more. The key here is in any language you would use to market your unit, promoting it as being lead safe for families. And then once applications are received, if there's a family in the mix, all things being equal, prioritize renting to that family. Of course, we want to stay in the bounds of fair housing, but we want the unit to be promoted as a lead safe opportunity. And you'll see that language I have at the bottom of the slide is an example from a contract that HUD provided me with. So you can see essentially what the contract would be saying and what we ask of participating landlords. Vacant units also qualify, and we would just need the same pledge to market the unit as lead safe moving forward. And vacant units are even easier to qualify because we're not even looking for anyone to be residing in the house at the time, so we don't sort of have to go through that income qualification process at all. Any families who are voucher families automatically qualify because their income has already been approved by that federal source, so that eligibility piece becomes easier too. Typically, we ask for pay stubs and bank statements as proof of income. Okay. Next slide. Thank you. And I'll just sort of go over the general program delivery process, walk you through some steps. So we have nonprofit partners that are most often our program providers for the lead hazard reduction program. And they work with us closely on the client identification piece. So typically your first step is to reach out to us at the state level, and we'll work on determining eligibility of the homes that you would like to have work done on. And then we will turn your project over to one of our partners who will guide you through all the rest of the steps in the process. After a home is deemed eligible, we will order a lead inspection risk assessment for that home. And you'll see the gentleman on the right, he's using an XRF analyzer, which reads lead paint. It can go very deep and determine if there is any old lead paint under that surface. And also that lead inspector risk assessor will determine what condition the paint is in. We are most worried about lead paint that is deteriorated, of course, because of the danger that paint chips and the dust generates from that deteriorated paint. Friction surfaces like windows and doors are particularly problematic. As you can imagine, that paint deteriorating, the moving up and down, opening, closing generates lead dust. And that is what is most problematic for children, because they're spending more time on their floor, the hand to mouth activity, and that lead dust is getting on their little hands and on their toys, and that's how they are ingesting it. So I know we often just think about young children eating paint chips or gnawing on a windowsill. That's their height, and that's all true, of course, but it's that lead dust that actually is one of the bigger culprits in lead exposure. So we're most worried about those friction surfaces like I described. And so the risk assessor will comb through the whole house, test most every painted surface in the house to identify the location and condition of the paint. And we will also conduct a healthy homes inspection alongside this as well. We have a smaller pot of money, I'll kind of go into funding in a minute, that can deal with some sort of more general home rehab needs to help make the home healthier, essentially, for young children. And then from there, we'll create a scope of work for lead hazards and any general home repairs. And we can go to the next slide. And then we will bid out your project. And of course, this is all under your permission and close communication. Bid out your project to a lead abatement contractor. It is a very specialized skill set that is required to address lead, very specialized licensing and training. So only a lead abatement contractor will be conducting the remediation work. Depending on where the lead is and the extent, we will pay for the client to be relocated from their home. 10 days is what we look for jobs not to exceed. And we pay for a stipend, a lodging stipend to that client. So, and it will be the equivalent of a state rate for a hotel in their area. And they won't move back in until the home has passed a clearance testing and all final inspections. A clearance test is a dust wipe test. So wherever the work was done and in adjacent areas, a lead risk assessor would come back, swipe the floors, and send those samples to the lab to make sure there is no lead dust remaining in the area at all. And it's a very, very strict process, and those levels have actually even been lowered. So it's very, very minimal, the amount of lead dust that's tolerated to remain. So a very thorough cleaning goes on at the end. And that's the process from start to finish. And I wish I could say it took just a few weeks to do. This is the reality between qualifying the client, ordering the risk assessment, waiting for the report to come back, bidding out the job. Also, we all know about supply chain issues and delays with materials, et cetera. So I just wanted to be very clear about expectations about how long it can take to complete a job. We try to move as fast as we can, but again, want to manage expectations there. Okay, next slide, please. Just to give you an example of abatement and interim controls, because I do want to stress that this is a lead safe program. It's not a complete lead removal program. So on those really vulnerable surfaces, like I mentioned, windows and doors, we are stripping or replacing and eliminating the lead in those areas. But there might be a situation where we have some crown molding that no one is touching, no one is going near. If there's some deteriorated paint there, we might just repair the paint, stabilize it, and move on. And then that occupant and the property owner know there's lead paint on that crown molding, and they know not to touch it, and if they do, to take proper precautions. So I just want to stress that it's not a complete lead paint removal, just depending on the location and the condition of the paint. It's often just best to be left alone as long as it's in stable condition. Ripping things out can generate more lead dust, and lead is not a hazard as long as it's not disturbed. And we will address, excuse me, soil as well. So we will, if the soil is, excuse me, shown to have some lead in it, then we will dig out some of the topsoil and replace that. We also test water as well. So it is a comprehensive look at the whole house and what hazards might exist. Okay, next slide. This is our healthy home rating system, and this is HUD. I keep this on here even though I know it's sort of wordy and a little maybe too comprehensive, but it shows you all of the potential home health hazards that we would be looking for and could address with our additional funding for healthy homes rehab work. What this ends up translating into is adding gutters to a home, addressing other moisture issues, maybe replacing a bathroom vanity that has mold from an old leak, repairing drywall that's been damaged from an old roof leak. That's typically what we're doing with healthy homes. We can also do other items like addressing porch steps or porch railings that might be rickety and need of repair, adding handrails well needed. So it's not a deep rehab per se, but there is an opportunity here to remove asbestos where it might be in a basement where someone could be coming in contact with it, or addressing an electrical issue in a home. So it is a nice opportunity to get a little bit of general rehab work done on the house as well. And next slide. So this, in a nutshell, are some of the building components that our home, or that our program will address. So we regularly have houses come through our program that might be completely resided because it was deteriorated lead-based paint on the outside, and that's the safest and easiest thing to do, replacing a lot of windows, you know, in addition to all that interior or exterior painting work. Our typical lead jobs run about $20,000 to $25,000. All lead hazards have to be addressed. I really want to stress that. We don't get a report back on what hazards exist and then pay for only part of it. We have to address all of them. So our smallest job could be $5,000, and we've had $45,000, $50,000 jobs come through our program. And then we spend on average about $5,000 on the additional healthy homes work. Next slide. And that brings us to the end. So I have some takeaways for you today. If you remember anything, just please know that we have this free lead-based paint program, remediation program, that's available to you, you know, as a landlord, as a renter, homeowner, everyone of every housing position. The priority to serve young children, but if it's a rental property, we don't have to have that child in place. And there's also that benefit for that other general housing rehab work that can be done. So a next step would be, please reach out to me directly with any questions you have about your properties. We can start an application with you, get that property qualified, and then order that lead inspection risk assessment on your behalf. There's no obligation to continue the process. You know, if you want to just have that inspection done, you're not required to keep going with the program. You know, all of this is up to you, your level of participation, but it's a really wonderful opportunity to have some critical work done to a home, you know, further protect our youngest and most vulnerable, and create just more lead safe housing in your area. That's just a benefit for everyone. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I appreciate it. And I think we'll have a little Q&A if anyone has anything else they'd like me to go over.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hill, for that information. We are going to do a Q&A. So if you have any questions for Ms. Hill, please type them in the question box, or you can use the raise your hand icon, and you will be called upon to state your question. If your question is not addressed today, Ms. Hill did provide her contact information on the screen, so please contact her directly. And also, if you're interested in being a part of the lead-based paint remediation program.
I will say, while we wait for a question, on our website, we have links where you can help determine your property's eligibility, and also just to submit a referral form if that's another route you'd like to take. Just a couple tools on our website. And I have a great case. We've been working with a landlord in Lynchburg. He's got about 40 properties. Most of them are with voucher families, and I think he wants to do his whole portfolio with us. It's been really great. So, you know, we have some other case studies out there of landlords that have started to work with us in the program. It's been really rewarding.
Okay, so it looks like we have no questions that have been typed in. If anyone would like to ask a question directly, if you could raise your hand, and we will unmute you to ask the question. And I don't see that any questions have been asked, so it looks like that presentation was very thorough and all questions have been answered that people would have. So thank you, Ms. Hill, for that.
Thank you all.
Great, thank you, Ms. Hill, once again. We do have polling question number 5, which will appear on your screen. How much do you already know about the Housing Quality Standard or HQS process? Okay, we have 6% of you that don't know anything at all about the HQS process. We do have Mr. Lorenzo Green here today to inform you about the HQS process. Mr. Green, we're happy to have you here with us, and the floor is yours.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can, Mr. Green. We can hear you. Are you able to put your presentation in slideshow view?
Yes. Sharing.
We can see your screen.
You can see the screen?
Yes, but can you put the presentation in slideshow view? It would be the last, well, you can do it from the top as well.
Okay. Should move forward. If you all would bear with me for 1 second. Once again, good morning and welcome everyone to the Landlord Learning Series. Just got a little technical difficulty here that I'm working through. You all would bear with me. Okay, I think I got it worked through. I'm Lorenzo Green. I'm the Housing Quality Inspection Supervisor for Norfolk Housing Authority. Been with the agency starting in the early 90s and began working in the inspection department in 2000. The goal of the inspection department is to provide quality services, inspection services to HCV clients and landlords. Today, what I like to do is share with you all information that would assist you in passing the Housing Quality Inspection, HQS, Housing Quality Standards. The Housing Quality Standards are used by NRHA to inspect Housing Choice Voucher units. The standards are mandated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and implemented by local housing aid authorities to ensure that Housing Choice Voucher participants are housed in safe, sanitary, and decent living conditions. HQS inspections are not code inspections. There are several types of inspections that we complete on HCV housing. First inspection is the initial inspection. That's the inspection pre-move-in inspection. We also complete biennial inspections. Some current landlords may remember when we were completing inspections annually. That's changed over the last year to biennial, so we're going to 24 months now. We also complete special or complaint inspections and quality assurance inspections. Initial inspections are scheduled when the inspector's office receives an initial request from case management. It's a form that includes the tenant's name, current address, and the address of the proposed unit, the owner agent's name, mailing address, and contact number. Upon receiving the inspection request form, it is assigned to an inspector, and that inspector will contact the owner agent to inquire if the unit is ready to pass the inspection. You notice I said pass the inspection and not just ready to be inspected. We look for units to pass inspections when we receive that form. Hopefully they will. The owner agent also has the option to contact the inspection office to schedule the inspection. If the property is ready to pass the inspection, the date and time is scheduled. What we strive to do is inspect the units within 5 days of receiving the inspection request. In some cases, the tenant holding the voucher may choose to remain in the unit they are currently residing in. In these cases, it is possible to schedule with the tenant. The tenant is already living in the unit and they receive a voucher. Although the owner agent isn't required to be present during the inspection of an occupied unit, we do recommend a pre-inspection by the owner agent or the maintenance staff to ensure that the unit is ready to pass the HQS. That's before we come out. All parties are encouraged to be present during the inspection. Once again, the inspectors expect units to pass when conducting inspections. We do not do code inspections. We would identify items that may be unsafe, pose a hazard to the Housing Choice Voucher family, or keep the unit from being safe, sanitary, and decent. NRHA's objective is to house people, but once again, the conditions must be safe, sanitary, and decent. NRHA housing quality inspectors use a handheld computer to record inspection information. There will be no list of identified items to provide to an owner agent at the time of the inspection. We do suggest that the owner agents and tenants take notes during the inspection. If the unit passes, the owner agent or tenant is instructed to contact the case manager. The inspectors do not authorize move-ins after the unit passes. If the unit fails the inspection, unfortunately, the inspector will inform the owner agent that the repairs must be completed within 10 days. The owner agent will be sent a letter including a list of failed items via U.S. mail. The re-inspection date and time are included in the failed letter. The owner agent will be informed that he or she has the option to contact the inspector and schedule a re-inspection as soon as the work is done. That means if the work repairs are completed 2 days, 3 days, give us a call, and our schedule permitting, we will come back out sooner than the allotted time frame, which is within 10 days. If you have any questions regarding inspection, please contact the inspection office. That number should be there, where it's at the end of this presentation. A lot of people ask, what does NRHA look for when performing inspections? I tell people to prepare the unit as if you're going to move into it yourself. And that is always a good start. The areas that will be inspected are the sanitary facilities, food preparation and refuse disposal, space and security, the thermal environment, illumination and electricity, structure and material, interior air quality, water supply, lead-based paint, we heard about that a little earlier, access to the unit, site and neighborhood, so it's the surrounding area, not just the actual unit itself, sanitary conditions, and smoke detectors. Following here is a list of the most commonly identified fail items, which are smoke detectors not working properly, the smoke detector being disconnected or missing the batteries. Also electrical outlets, switches improperly wired, GFIs not testing properly, outlets and switches loose or broken and missing cover plates on the outlets. And some of these items may, I've heard people say small things, but these are once again HUD mandated standards. Plumbing and heating, leaky faucets, toilets loose on the floor or constantly running, water heaters with missing discharge pipes or cover plates, power cords not installed in the proper conduit, mainly on the water heaters or heating units, windows not working properly, or not staying up, or were not open and closed or locked properly, windows not having weather-tight seals, there being cracking, chipping, glazing, and peeling paint, and missing screens. Doors loose on the hinge, or not latching or locking properly. Stoves and ovens, burners, or elements not lighting or working properly. And keep in mind, these are the most commonly identified fail items. This list is not all inclusive. If you've noticed on the list, I did not mention housekeeping. The housing quality standards do not address housekeeping unless it's to the point of being unsanitary. Housekeeping is basically a judgment call. We wouldn't fail a person for not having done the dishes or the laundry. Additionally, there are occasional items not listed, they are listed in the HQS handbook that would require a fail rating. Here are some examples: damaged or jagged cabinet hardware that could be a cut hazard that wouldn't be listed in the HQS, but could be a hazard to the family. Missing building address or apartment number. These addresses are very important, especially when the public safety vehicles arrive or responding to calls. We've talked about the other types of inspections, biennial, complaint, and quality control. The biennial inspection, once again, each unit must be inspected at least once every 2 years. The biennial inspection must be conducted within 24 months of the previous inspection. To schedule the biennial inspections, the inspections department notifies the owner, agent, and tenant via U.S. mail of the scheduled date and time. Letters are mailed 30 days and no later than 15 days before the scheduled inspection date. Basically, the same rules apply to the biennial inspections as initials. The difference is the allotted re-inspect time is within 30 days for biennials and not 10 days. That's with the initial inspections. Complaint inspections, we touched on that. Complaint inspections are conducted when the housing authority receives information or a complaint from an owner, agent, or tenant, or a third party such as a neighbor or public official. During the complaint inspection, the inspector will only inspect the items reported unless there are other obvious deficiencies existing. If the inspector notices other items that would cause a unit to fail the HQS, the responsible party would be required to complete the necessary repairs. If the biennial inspection date is within 120 days of a special or complaint inspection, the inspector will conduct a full inspection during the special inspection, and this will serve as a biennial inspection. Quality control inspections. NRHA, once again mandated by HUD, NRHA must conduct quality control inspections on the percentage of all units under contract for the previous fiscal year. The percentage must include a cross-section of all neighborhoods where the program units are located, These units will include inspections completed by all inspectors in a cross-section of initial, biennial, and complaint/special inspections. The scheduling process for quality control inspections is the same as the biennials. Letters are forwarded to the owner, agent, and tenant, notifying them of the scheduled dates and time, inspection date and time. Deteriorating paint. Ms. Hill did touch or shared quite a bit of information regarding lead paint, so I won't spend too much time on that, other than the fact that when we go out to inspect the unit, if we do identify chip, peeling, deteriorating paint, we will assume that that paint has some lead in it, and we will fail it as such if the unit was built before 1978 and it has a child living in it under the age of 6. And in my closing, in the words of one of our great presidents, Abraham Lincoln, I like to see a man proud of the place he lives, and I like to see a man live so that place will be proud of him. I do thank you all. Have a great day. Of course, if you have any questions, contact information is here, and we look forward to getting these units passed and getting people housed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Okay, we'll jump right into the Q&A. Once again, if you would like to state your question, please use the raise your hand icon and you will be called upon. If you would like to type your question, please use the chat box feature on your screen.
Okay, we have one hand raised. I am going to go ahead. It's Cornell Hunter. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you so you can ask your question.
Very good. Good morning, Mr. Green. Excellent presentation. One quick question. It's my understanding that carbon monoxide units must be installed in our units as of the latter portion of the year. Is that correct?
That is correct. By December 27, 2022. I do believe we forwarded information regarding that. Hopefully you did receive that information.
We did. Just
Okay.
wanted to re-verify that matter.
Yes, sir.
Also, one additional question, if I might. I have several units down there. Is it possible that I can call ahead and get some idea based on the biennial scenario we're in now so that I can better prepare my units?
For inspection information, you can certainly you can contact me,
Okay.
and whatever information I have that will assist you in your unit passing, your units passing the inspection, don't hesitate. Feel free to contact me.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you for your question. And we have another question from Ebony Lee. I have unmuted you. If you would unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Mr. Green. I have a question. Are the AC heat units sufficient for heating the housings?
HCV.
No, like the air conditioning heating window units.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You mean
Okay,
window AC unit that you're using, or you're talking about a combination unit?
Yes, it's a combination AC heat unit.
The actual primary heating source for a unit should be portable. Shouldn't be a portable
Okay.
unit.
Okay.
Yeah, and your window AC, that's fine. But if you're talking about a heating unit, combination AC unit that can be removed from the window, then that wouldn't suffice as a primary source of heat.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
He remember me.
Okay, that looks like those are all the questions that we have. If anyone else has a question, you can raise your hand and I will unmute you, or type your question in the question box. Okay, it looks like that concludes the questions that we have. Thank you, Mr. Green.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Mr. Green. On your screen, you will see polling question number 6. How much do you now know about lead-based paint exposure? Or lead paint exposure, I'm sorry. Okay, great. 0 that know nothing at all, and 56% of you know a lot. So that's good. Thank you, Ms. Hill, for providing us with that great information. Now we go on to polling question number 7. How much do you now know about the HQS process? Okay, 0 of you know nothing at all, and we have 41% that knows a great deal and 41% that knows a lot. So thank you for that, Mr. Green. Some people have learned things here today, and we do want to thank you all for joining us. We are at the end of our time. If your questions were not addressed, or you have questions that arise after the presentation, please reach out to our presenters using their contact information. We would like to encourage all our landlords here today with rental properties in the city of Norfolk to consider renting using the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which help low-income households, including elderly and disabled individuals, afford decent and sanitary housing in the private market. I would like to reiterate the benefits. There's no cost to landlords to participate in the program. NRHA will advertise your property for free. We provide prompt, convenient, and free housing inspections, and you receive housing assistance payments that are direct deposit into your account of your choice. So if you would like to join the HCV program or learn more, please contact me directly. My contact information will also be provided on the screen at the end of this presentation. My name is Ayana Pointer. So if you have any questions or are interested in joining the HCV program, please contact me. I'm here to help. At the end of the presentation today, you'll get a survey from GoToWebinar. Please answer those questions and also provide us with any feedback or educational topics you would like to hear from us. Our next session will be held on July 26th, focusing on building a lease agreement and screening tenants. So for those of you who don't know what to include in your lease agreement or how to screen tenants, please join that webinar. You can register right now at nrha.us. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have an amazing day.